Excellent. Hi, everyone. It's so great to see your faces. Just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to see you all here. And I know we're going to have a great discussion. I'll kind of start by just telling you that I am in Lubbock. It is my mother's 90th birthday. And so we are at Carillon, which is a retirement community that has multiple levels. And so Marco is here. Lisa's off writing her song for Mama Grande. And Julie has been here with Mom all afternoon. And so she's kind of roped into this as long as Mom's here. I haven't told her that much about the group, but as long as Mom's here, they'll stay on. But if Mom needs to leave.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we'll start with our introductions. And what that includes is the name that you want to be called while you're here tonight, your preferred pronouns, and the answer to the icebreaker question, which in the past we have asked the question like, what was your most memorable birthday or birthday gift? And so tonight we're going to switch that up a little bit and say, what is the most memorable party for someone, like birthday party for someone else that you've been to, and what made it special?
Wow.
Party or birthday party? Either or?
Yeah, I'll say either or.
Okay.
Either or. So,
I have to.
gosh, I might have trouble with this one. I didn't really think about the answer for it myself. Usually I'm better at that. But I'm Carol, she, her. And Marco, you've had some pretty darn amazing birthday parties.
Yeah.
So I'll say,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say, and I like the one where you were pretty young and we went bowling, and you had like a birthday cake shaped like a bowling pin and everything like that. So that was pretty darn special. So you want to go next?
Mama, got a bebop. Bebop cake. Okay.
Name and pronouns.
Okay. Thank you. Hey, y'all, bye-bye. I'm Marco.
My name's Marco.
Okay, go. Thank you.
What are your pronouns?
And you, give Marco.
He, him, or King Marco.
Okay.
And what's a party that you've been to that you really were impressed with?
Well, I am American. A birthday.
A birthday in Colorado?
Yeah, a birthday. Okay, good.
So you got to see they had little kids and adults and everybody all at once?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes it nice when you have all generations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mama Grande, do you want me to introduce you?
I think that's already been done.
Okay. Well, this is Nita, she, her. Do you have a party that you remember that stands out in your mind?
Yes.
That the one for your mother, Granny,
Uh-huh.
that you were talking about?
Yes.
What made it fun?
What made it fun? To do the same things that she loved.
Good. Yeah, that's good to really appreciate what somebody likes individually. Julie, would you like to? She, her.
She, her. And one special party that I had was for my granddaughter. It was a baby shower for my first granddaughter, my only granddaughter. I planned it, I made it, and it was special to me.
Yay, that's cool. Okay, Suzette.
Okay, go.
I'm Suzette, she, her, and the birthday party that I really remember the most is the first birthday party that I ever went to. I was probably 3.5 or 4, and living in New Jersey. And my friend across the street that I had just made, her name was Joanne Galissi. She was Italian. Her whole family was very loud and Italian. But she had her cousins, which were many. When you're Italian, you have a lot of cousins. And we had those pointy party hats. And I dressed up in an all green little outfit with a leopard skin collar. And I thought my stuff was awesome. And it was just the most magical thing because it was my first ever. And I felt like I was part of a group or part of something. And I felt like, yay, this is awesome. I want to do more birthdays.
Oh, I love how you said that. part of
And I
the
have a
group.
picture of it. I'll bring it to church and show you.
Okay, Jared and Leah, we're going in the order we came on, except that Suzette was here first before me.
You can go first.
Okay, my name is Leo. Pronouns are he, him. I guess my most memorable. It wasn't necessarily a birthday party. It was more like a birth, and it was the birth of my first godson. That's when I realized like how wonderful it felt to be an uncle, and it's just a feeling that I cannot describe. So yeah.
Hmm,
Mhm.
that's beautiful. Leah,
Um,
Jared?
let's see. Hi, everybody. Jared, pronouns, all of them. And for me, my favorite party, I guess to contrast my babe, was actually a funeral party. Because I don't know what you guys know about Latino culture, but they have a sort of celebration for everything, right? Including right, like the death part. So like I got to meet. We went to Mexico, and because Leo's grandma, my grandsuegra, passed, she, I got to meet everybody, and it was like just straight, it was days
A
of
prayer.
prayer, of partying, of talking, of vibe, and it had so much soul to it that, you just don't get to see at those wild parties that where everyone doesn't, like, both doesn't and does know everybody else, right? It's just it's something I've never experienced before. Days of partying that are based on bonding over shared memories and shared understandings of the people that we love, right? So yeah, that's actually my favorite party, and I've gone to a lot of parties. And I've gone to gone to a million different bangers, right? I've hosted weddings, like I've officiated them. Like, it's a whole thing. Like, but I would say meeting my husband's family and like really going through that process. That's the best party.
That's wonderful. Okay, Alec?
What do you think?
My name is Alec, he, him, and I guess the most recent one is my godmother's funeral. Like, um, it was just memorable because like the people were laughing how she really couldn't take a compliment worth a damn, and even though she was like, the lady that baked goods for homeless people and stuff like that. She explicitly told the priest before she died, "Do not make me out to be a saint." and, like she explicitly said that, and uh, it was just like how everybody laughed because that was just her, and yeah. It was moments like that that made it memorable.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's I think several of y'all have said that about people, just those connections with people making it special. Okay, Kim?
I really don't do parties. We did have a Christmas celebration type thing with a small group I was a part of, and those get kind of crazy and fun. And what makes it real fun is when we do the gift exchange, and you have all the steals and stuff. And like this year, I got this Grinch statue that's like really big, and some girl stole it from me, and I about died. But then my sister turned around and she was next, so she stole it back for me, and so that way I got the Grinch because once it's stolen twice, it's out of play. So we just have a lot of fun at those parties because of the competitiveness and just the craziness, and the same person seems to get stolen from all the time, and it's just crazy. So those are fun parties.
That sounds really cool. Okay, Craig.
Hey, Craig Puckett. Pronouns usually he, him, but any pronouns will do. Love the white elephant stuff. My family does that every year for Christmas, and it's always fun to watch people want to throw away one thing and just like glom onto something else. Most memorable. I have not had a chance to answer the one about memorable birthday for myself, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I think my most memorable was a couple years ago when we did the Hot Ones challenge for my birthday. So Adrian, for Christmas, I guess the year before, had bought a series of hot sauces from the Hot Ones. If you haven't seen Hot Ones on YouTube, basically celebrities get interviewed while eating progressively spicier wings.
Funny.
And they sell that particular bundle of hot sauces. You can get them online, and it's 10 different sauces. And so we made like a absolute massive ton of hot wings, and everybody participated, and the hot wings just got hotter and hotter. But it was also like a karaoke party. So you ate your hot wing, and then you were up to do karaoke right after that. So it was just like absolutely crazy. People were just like crying, like snorting, like boogers down there in their face while they were trying to like belt out a song. It was wild, and it was like the best birthday I've had so far.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Okay, Adrian.
All right, my name is Adrian, pronouns he, him, making me think about different birthday parties. But I'm thinking of like growing up, lots of the birthday parties were usually for my family or my cousins. And there's one in particular that I remember where my cousin's birthday, and everybody sings happy birthday, the cake's out, they blow out the candles, and in Mexican culture, there's this thing we call la mordida, the bite. And so that's when the birthday person will literally just take a bite of the cake in the corner and the side. And then the guests or friends, sometimes they like to be playful and push the head in a little bit to get like all the frosting on the face and in the nose and everything like that. Well, my cousin would have none of that. She's like, no, I did not want it. No, no, no. So everybody's like, okay, that's fine. Literally, like 2 minutes later, her younger sister out of the nowhere runs, uh, just runs towards that cake and then slams her face right in the middle of the cake. And like all face completely covered. My cousin was furious about that because she just got the whole cake out, but everybody was just laughing because it's like nobody made her do it. She literally just ran straight to the cake and slammed her face down. That's because she really wanted to have that experience. So that's something that I always remember.
Oh, that's funny. I hope she had a good sense of humor after that.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of like scraped the top off, but we still all ate cake. I mean, we're not gonna waste that.
Of course. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Gregor.
Krager, he, they, and my favorite birthday party that wasn't mine was when my husband turned 40, and we had just been dating for a couple of months, and his 40th birthday was coming up in August. And so I decided, because he's an introvert, he's extremely introverted. And so I decided that it would be cool to have a 40th birthday party at his house because we weren't living together yet. And so we had more people from RMCC in that quaint little Heights bungalow than you could imagine, but it was a great time. And of course, it was August, so it was hot. It was hot, but it was tons of fun. And I don't know. We kept dating after that and eventually got married. So I guess it worked out.
Yay. In August, baby, what's his birthday?
18th.
Oh, I'm the 12th.
Oh, cool.
I'm the
Leo's.
My brother is the 16th.
I have a
Oh,
sister
awesome.
that's the 18th and a sister that's the 12th.
Wow. Oh my gosh. What a small world.
Oh,
Okay, Lynn.
okay.
Okay, I'm not sure that I know what the question is after listening to the answer. So can you kind of tell me what that is? Is it your birthday or is it just a celebration?
Well, it's a party that you've been to. I initially said other than yours since we talked about yours before, but so yeah, just a party that you've enjoyed and why.
Take it away, Lynn.
Okay, well, I'm not a person who attends a whole lot of parties, but 2 years ago, a good friend of mine that I've known for more than 30 years had her 80th birthday party. And it was fun, it was at a bar in the city in Houston. And I guess the most memorable thing about it was that I saw people there that I hadn't seen in like 30 years. And so it was just the camaraderie of being able to see people that you hadn't seen in a long time, who were all, from the community. And to think that I had known this person for that long. I think it's rare that we have people who are in our lives that we still communicate with for long periods of time. So I'd say that her birthday party in July, and my birthday is also in July, was probably the most memorable one that I can recall.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay. Okay, well, let's get right into our subject. It's
I
called
have Caitlin. Caitlin is in the chat because she's on a bus
Okay.
and she wanted to chime in. So Caitlin is a she, her, and she recently went to a choir mixer at Eve's house from Resurrection, and she said it was memorable because Eve had some amazing non-alcoholic punch. And I gotta scroll here and I can't find my cursor. But she said it was so good and it had apples in it. So I know that presentation is everything, so I'm sure Eve really did it some justice. So thank you for sharing, Caitlin.
Yes, thank you. And I
Reverend
see,
Mona is here too.
okay, Reverend Mona, would you like to participate?
Yeah, Reverend Mona, she, her. I planned a party for my adoptive sister at Steak and Ale, and I hired the Grim Reaper, and so the Grim Reaper showed up at her 50th birthday, and entertained not only everybody who was in the restaurant at the time, and she got me back by on my birthday hiring the raisin, the raisin, the great big raisins. And I thought I thought it was that that big purple character cartoon, the kids character, Barney. I thought it was Barney at first before I figured out it was a raisin. And so we had a good time with each other in that. But the Grim Reaper was good. Came in with the sickle and everything. Huge, huge, huge guy. So yeah.
My favorite part of that story, Mona, is steak and ale. I'm like, oh my God, I used to love eating there.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing, steak and ale. Yeah.
Okay, so my mom and Julie are
Okay.
headed out. Bye, Mom. We'll talk to you
Bye.
later.
Happy birthday. Bye.
So our theme tonight is called Great Mother Archetype. And basically what that's referring to, as I'm sure some of you can imagine, is just kind of the idea of what mothering energy means. And in some cases, it's how we apply it to divine presence. I think we've talked before about expanding our image of God to include feminine aspects. And I think just this whole idea of what it means, what mothering energy, what mothering archetype tends to mean is very pertinent to that. I mean, it's not just that some people have had negative experiences with father imagery or father experiences, but it's also just that if we only think of God in terms of one gender, then we're kind of limiting some of the characteristics of God in our own minds. And so different cultures have experienced this in different ways. Gaia is one way that God has been described kind of
Yeah.
as the mother
Yeah.
earth.
God.
In Peru, what is it called? Marco was born in Peru. What are the natives in?
Baby.
They talk about Pachamama. Pachamama.
Pachamama.
And they talk about mountains as, you know,
Yeah.
Pachamama is kind of like Mother Earth, Mother God, and the mountains are the breasts of God. And I think that's pretty beautiful. So let's talk about some qualities that we think of as mothering qualities. And I think the most important one in those terms is unconditional love. And I know not all mothers achieve that, but we're talking about the optimal, the archetype, what mothering means in general, not what all mothers display, because we know a lot of us mothers are not perfect. But we're talking about the ideal mother. So what else would y'all say?
What?
For me, one thing that I think the first thing that comes to mind is probably something that I think, you know, this heteronormative patriarchal society would think of as a father term, which is strength. And just if we're speaking about like the image of like the archetypal great mother, a lot of childbirth symbology, and the pain of having to go through childbirth, and the strength that really takes to go through that process, and shouldering that is such a strong quality that's really the first thing that I associate with, like, I don't know, great mother symbology or concept.
That's beautiful. Thank you for bringing that. What about nurturing? That's one of the first words that come to mind for me.
That's the next one I was gonna say too. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, for me, like I love what we're doing first, because like, you know, it's always like Mary's like the closest thing that we have, but Mary's like it's always in connection to, you know, in tandem to Jesus Christ, right? And not so much as the direct divine mother. But for the full blown divine maternal archetype, like from what I've seen, I think, you know, I work at a female impression treatment center. So for me, it's always been the ability to give it's grace, right? And I don't grace in the sense to where it's like a lot of times people can be very hard on other people, right? It can, like, life can seem something wrong, you get punished, right? You know, and it feels kind of robotic, right? You do X amount of bad deeds, then you get X amount of bad stuff, right? So for me, the ability, like, moms have always been like an extension of the ability to live beyond hierarchy, but beyond this like need to enforce rules, beyond this need for things to be actually orderly, right? It's the necessary chaos in the equation where if things are so rigid, where if you do rules like all the rules of the Old Testament, right, that were beating people up and ruining people's lives, right? What it means to be and to embody that divine feminine energy is the disruption of the natural order of, well, these rules means you're convicted, right? It's the idea that, well, we don't actually, rules are merely suggestions, right? Like, we can literally like they are tools, and we can gain our power back by simply choosing not to enforce these tools, right? Not to throw stones at people for committing sins, right? Like, in a lot of ways, Christ did embody a lot of those feminine energies, because before that we had what? David, Solomon, right? Like they made a lot of these rules. So it's the ability to live beyond rules. It's the ability to know when a rule sucks, right? And to ignore it, deny it, to literally like overturn it, right? That and like that's like on the grander scale, but like on a more micro scale, it's when your kid messes up, you know, like, rather than, you know, punish them, give them grace, right? Explain where they messed up and give them another opportunity, right? And then another opportunity, and then another opportunity, because, you know, best with what we got, you know.
That's really well said. That's really nice. And I'll come back. We've had a new person join us, but well, Kreger, you've got your hand up, so we'll come back.
Go.
When I think of qualities of the archetypical mother, patience is what comes to my mind when looking at my own mother, who had 4 children within, I think it was a span of 8 years. And when you have that many kids, and eventually she was a housewife when we were all fairly little, but then eventually she went back to work. But yes, a mother has to have patience, and lots of it. The more kids you have, the more patience you need.
Yeah. I'm afraid that's one of the places I don't do so well at sometimes. Okay. I just want to acknowledge Charlie. Is that the name you want to go by? Hi. Well, welcome. If we did introductions just before you got on, so if you want to say if you want to unmute, you're muted now.
I think. Oh, I
Charlie,
think
you're muted.
Caitlin are together, by the way, so they may be just listening if they need to. But Charlie, you are muted, and that's okay. And so just making sure you're aware of the dynamic. I think maybe they'll figure it out. I don't.
There we go.
Uh-huh.
There we go. My
Yeah.
phone is acting retarded. I'm outside waiting for Kate, but I'm Charlie.
Great.
Yeah. All right.
Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
No problem.
Okay. Gregor, did you still have a hand up or?
No, patience, patience.
Well, I want to add creativity. I mean, just the whole idea of a mother, new life coming through a mother, speaks to the creativity of the maternal archetype. So, I just want to throw that in there. And I think to me, creativity feels like God working through me when creative ideas come or creative projects like painting or something like that. That's one of the times I feel the closest to God. So, that's another quality that comes to my mind. Suzette? You're
Oh,
muted.
Suzette, you're muted.
Well, yeah, sorry. While we were talking before we started the session, we were talking about our moms, and your mom had a career and did things that were completely out of character for women of her day, and my mom was the very same way. So I grew up with the idea of I wanted to be the things that mothers aren't, right? That there's things that mothers can be that aren't part of that architecture that society fits them into. So I think that it depends on the timing of what you're viewing, as well as what the I don't want to say stereotype because that's kind of a negative word, but what the typical things are that we relate to motherhood. Because when I was growing up, and y'all know this that know me, I didn't want to be a mother. I thought that was a ball and chain, and I saw my mom go. It was more than I wanted in that sense. So I wanted other things than, and so when I had a child of my own, I was like, what do I do with this? I really, my idea of being a mother to him was teaching him life skills, how to survive. Here's how to cook, here's how to, sew something, here's how to, here's how to do stuff so that you can do stuff for yourself. So in my opinion, it was teaching my child how to be a human being and be, an independent contributing person to society, and not just, the nurturing, babies, that kind of thing. That wasn't me at all. So my relation of, I don't want to say I reject the stereotypical vision of what a mother is, but I think it's so much broader. And I like the analogy that Craig Puckett brought into it of childbirth, because that is something that, you have to recognize that as just being the predominant strength of our humanity, is having child, especially back when there were no, mega drugs to deal with that. So I can't even imagine, having a child without drugs. So, just the whole thing, the whole ball of what motherhood represents to us now and what it represented at another time in history, is to me something that's important to talk about. So as we go back and forth with the pendulum in our political system.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very
It
true,
is a mother.
said and well said. And yeah, I can certainly attest to that as an OB-GYN. I've never seen
What do I do with this?
more strength and more and a lot of transformation too. Okay, Adrian. I see
Uh,
Adrian.
Just kind of going over, as you were saying, that item about being a different type of mother kind of makes me think of the other way around, in the word of sacrificial. mothers do sacrifice sometimes what they wanted to do or wanted to be able to now raise a child and and grow. So it's to in a point as well where it's like all of the time and devotion that they put to be able to raise um, us.
Well said. Okay, Lynn.
Yay, go. Yes, I was thinking when you were talking about teaching, and I was thinking how mothers are our first teachers. And so, they teach you everything from how to go to the bathroom to how to tie your shoes and how to put the spoon to your mouth, and they teach. And so, yeah, and that teaching stays with you for life. So, I think that more than anything, they're teachers first. Um, and then I had a question, and I wondered if you have a difficult time with the mother figure that was in your life, how would that affect how you see the mother figure as in God? Um,
That's a very good question. And I can't answer that since I had a pretty perfect mom.
yeah,
I can't relate to that, Lynn. I was a total mama's boy, and yeah, so yeah, I loved my mother. I thought she was the bomb, you know.
yeah,
There
and I
were times,
think
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
too. There were. I think one of the ways that my mom demonstrated that first quality I talked about with unconditional love. Um, I mean, as a teenager, I was just mad at the whole world. I mean, literally, and of course, mom bore the brunt of that a lot. And I remember one time when I got mad at her for catching me in a lie. I had no reason to be mad. And I remember just running to my room and thinking nobody could hear me and just pounding on my pillow and saying, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And of course, now that just makes me really cringe to think that I ever said that. But mom came into my room and she said, Carol, you may hate me or hate us, but we will love you always. And that was just that is just one of the things I will
okay,
never ever forget.
you go, you go,
Marco's pointing at Leo and Jared.
you go.
Uh, just to touch on a few points, like Adrian and Lynn said, uh, at least for me, for my mom, like I guess she's very strong and she's very like, I don't know, because it takes a lot to leave your country and come over here and start freshly new. Um, we came to this country when I was 4. Um, and just to touch on what Lynn said, uh, yeah, thanks to her, like her teachings to always be closer to God. And thus, yeah.
That's beautiful. I'm switching sides so Marco doesn't elbow me so much. Okay, Adrian.
Hey, you go.
I wanted to kind of go to the point with Lynn and the question. Not that I had a bad relationship with my mom. I actually do love my mom and she's done great things. And I think we all had our love and at times that we kind of create. But it made me think of like way back at a different church where they were like, who are you praying to? Because there's the Lord's Prayer, and then back then it's like the Father's
You
Prayer. Are you praying to a Lord or are you praying to a parent? Because the Lord puts laws. They punish people. They will make sure that you are on the correct path, while a parent has love for their kids. will give grace to the kid, will give chances to their son and or daughters. So, uh, so that's a much different type of person that you're praying and you're believing with. So which one? So it's a very different relationship, a Lord to a parent.
I
Yeah.
love you said that. I love that. Okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting to, and because um sometimes everybody loves their mom. I mean, I don't there may be some people who have been at odds with mom, or like you said, the parent did something, the mom did something and hurt your feelings, and you get angry with them. But everybody generally loves their mom. And I think boys for sure, like Gregory said, he was um a mama's boy. And so I think that that's what I was trying to get to, Adrian, is if you have this image of a mother, how does that affect your image of God? Um, if that image is something that is not as unconditional, or is not as patient, or is not as, so it just occurred to me that way, because I've definitely had, I didn't meet my biological mother until I was 21. And so I feel that I've had a different kind of view of motherhood, both growing up. Not that I didn't have a wonderful woman who raised me. She just happened to be my aunt instead of my mother. But I think that that view can be difficult for people who have a different experience. And lately, Christian nationalists who are saying, for instance, that women should be at home, and what the parts of the Bible that talk about a woman being silent and not having much to say. So I was just thinking along those lines.
Those are really good points. So we've got multiple hands raised. Let's start with Craig.
Forgive me if we already touched on this, but did we talk about or just mention like protective mother, like a lioness, kind of like protecting her pride? Because that also is like another one that comes to mind as well when you think of like the archetypal mother as like, don't mess with my babies. Don't mess with my babies.
Yes. Yes, I love that. Good. That's a very good addition. Suzette?
So, my mom gave me my faith. She took me to church when I was 3.5, 4. I can't, really. My earliest memory of church was learning Jesus loves me, yes I know, for the Bible tells me, all the little songs that you sing as a child. And she took us faithfully, 4 kids. And I was just sitting here racking my brain thinking, how did we get to church before she drove? Because my dad didn't let her drive until I was in maybe, I don't know, first grade, something like that, kindergarten or first grade. So I know we went to church before that, but every single Sunday with 4 kids without my dad, she took us to church. Every Sunday we were there, Sunday school, every Sunday. So, it got to be something that was my familiar, So as I taught Taylor about church, I tried to do the same thing with him, because I just took him to church. I didn't try to make him do anything, and he drifted away from it. But now he works for Resurrection, and now he has God in his life. Now he has faith in his life. Now he has a faith family and a community, which he didn't have before. So I think it's really important that our mothers who they share their faith with their children, and I think that's really important. I think that it may be a different kind, like someone was mentioning, talking about Father and Lord. That that is a significant differentiator for me, seeing that in a faith, in my faith. So anyway, it was about my mom bringing faith into our lives, and being the person that kept it happening for us as we grew up. So anyway, that was important. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Jared.
I think it's important that an elephant in the room gets addressed. So it's very, very disappointing that we have to draw comparisons between God the Father and God the Lord, but we don't have a more direct comparison that every other theological system has, like, the Divine Mother versus the Divine Father, right? To draw from, right? The closest we got is Mary, and all she is depicted as doing is crying over her son dying, right? Doing all the things that she could to take care of him as a mother, right? Giving birth, right? Through that whole process. And yes, she has an incredible story, but it's underplayed, right? And there's so many, her voice is literally not there, right? It's always like third person narrative, right? It's never you're following the actions of Mary, right? And it's always that way, right? It's always that way whenever we're talking about women in the Bible, right? Whenever we're talking about these actually divine mothers, right? Who even whenever Jesus Christ is there, it's always in the context of a male, right? And so it's missing in our theology, in our spiritual system. And so it's a good thing that God's glory doesn't begin and end with the Bible. It's a good thing. The Bible is an incomplete document, right?
Absolutely.
Because of the fact that we have so many grand examples in chats like these of absolutely divine people, right, modeling this behavior for us. And if it wasn't for those things, it's no wonder that our mothers had to go through so much heck, right, to raise us, to bring us to where we are. Because they didn't have any room. There wasn't no done, right? They were treated outside of the direct context of their own perspectives, where they were literally not, their point of view was never really honored in any of our spiritual systems. So yeah, like I just
would you see them as marginalized? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that word fit for that?
Absolutely, right? That is the correct label, right? That as a marginalized people, right? It is so good that we are doing the decolonial work, right? Of really shedding, shedding the ideas and principles of only being a divine Father, right, and a divine Lord, and really going back to really undermining what those writers those editors of this document, right, and really undoing the harm that they've done. I love seeing these groups. Good job. Also, I love my mom. She's amazing. She did the exact same thing that my husband did, where they, left the Philippines to make a world for over here, right? And she has been nothing but the greatest example of like it doesn't matter what you do, I will still love you, right? She was, in my family, she was the only one who accepted me for being gay, right? Like
she's an amazing mother-in-law.
She's the
I
best.
could not ask for one.
Wow, that's
Yes.
beautiful.
It's not a competition.
Hey, let me see if I can regain the thread of what I was gonna say. But because those that was just amazing, and I appreciate you saying that. Yes, and I do think that, I mean, certainly the canonized parts of the Bible as we know it were written by men. Men were the people who were writing it down, and they're told it from male perspectives, and women's names tend to only come into it at when they are an integral part of the story, and then sometimes we don't even get their names. But there are parts, like, I mean, if you really look at the Magnificat, the Song of Mary, I mean, it's I didn't even realize until a recent sermon that I heard that it was part of the that most of it was previously, like, written in the Hebrew scripture, in the Old Testament, or what tends to be called the Old Testament. And but I mean, it's really a song of rebellion and lifting up the marginalized, and it's pretty darn radical. But then there's all those parts of the Bible that aren't included too. And I've heard various reasons for that, besides the fact that they're of women, like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and things like that. But anyway, there are things that were not canonized, and there are parts of the Bible that do show radical women, and that includes in the Hebrew scriptures too. Krager?
You're muted. You're muted, Craig.
I would like to go back out to around 30,000 feet now and take this conversation just from motherhood to the feminine in general. And I have been waiting for a time in my life when the feminine energy has more positions of power and more positions of leadership. And that's one of the reasons why I was so disappointed in this latest election. It's not because Kamala was a Democrat, but because I think it's time. I think it's time the world experience how the world could be if there were more feminine, if there was more feminine energy in positions of power. And I just think it's time for a change after 5,000 years of basically men running things, and so
Yeah.
that's my thought about all of that.
Nice. Okay, Craig.
I think one thing that is so, like, really profound about what you said, Leo, was about the editors of the Bible and our predominant religious texts, because we don't know what has been gate kept from us. Actually, we do know some of what has been gate kept from us, but it is so far in the margins, and because it is so outside of orthodoxy, it is blackballed, blacklisted, and swept under the rug, and in some cases has been completely demolished. And that's why, we don't speak as much about, like, in Kabbalist theology and in Gnostic theology, like Shekinah and Sophia, that really lift up and celebrate those aspects of the feminine divine. And who knows what our canons would look like if they had not been shaped by these, patriarchal hands and systems. So I don't know. I just wanted to thank you for saying that, and like how, I don't know, how cobbled um, our theology probably is, because we don't get to experience this because it's been kept from us.
Jared?
Mhm.
Oh.
The smallest thing to add. So like I'd like to add something to what Kreger said. So, like, so when I think that we're dreaming a little bit too small when we say I think it would be great to have more women in higher places, because whenever you're talking about a system like what we have, right, putting a woman at the head of a body that oppresses men, women, children, right, like, I prefer that to have women in the places where they belong, which is at the head of a revolution. Right? Like that, right? Rather than, in positions of power and positions of oppression, right? As like more women cops, more women, like dictators, more women, like rather than, I think we actually, in a lot of ways, are the generation of women are exactly where they kind of need to be to make exact difference. Because and this is a controversial take, the gay rights movement, the most power it ever had was before we were legalized. The most power we ever had whenever it came to the conversation was when we were fighting for something, right? I believe, right, that, us disenfranchised folks, right, while we are fighting for something to change, this is our most powerful way of being. And I love it. I love to see people deconstruct and, figure out that, oh, wait, this is, the way mommy told me is not the way it needs to be, or the way I was raised is not the way, I want to be, right? Like I want better for my kids. I want better for, like, I love watching this generation of women become radicalized by the hellish environment that we are all raised in. So yeah, I do think women belong in places of power, of impeaching power specifically.
Wow, that's an interesting way to put it. I love that. Yeah, and
Wow.
yeah, and it is true. I mean, contrast does serve a purpose like that to kind of bring to mind what's important to us. So we're toward the end of our time, and so if anyone has anything pressing to say, especially those of you who haven't spoken as much. Leo?
Leo wants me to read a poem because I'm amazing at reading poems.
It's a poem. It's a poem that I read a long time ago, and it always stuck with me.
Well, why don't we consider that our closing prayer then? Take it away, Jared.
Okay. Okay. Whatever you give a woman, she will make greater. If you give her sperm, she'll give you a baby. If you give her a house, she'll give you a home. If you give her groceries, she'll give you a meal. If you give her a smile, she'll give you a heart. She multiplies and enlarges what is given to her. So if you give her any crap, be ready to receive a ton of shit.
Perfection.
Oh, excellent.
Perfection.
I've never seen that poem in my life. So.
That's wonderful. So thank you for reading that, and thank you all for being here. This has been lovely. Next week, we're kind of talking about words and interpretations and misinterpretations and things like that. So.
Lovely. I love you all. Thank you so much. And we'll see you
Good
next
night.
week.
Bye,
All right, good
Margot.
night,
Bye, Carol.
everyone.
Bye, Suzette. Bye, everybody.
Bye.